Okay, little confession. I didn't quite finish the last chapter, so I'm going to finish that chapter and then we'll go on to chapter 18. Okay? Um, I'll rewind just a little bit. Why isn't she waking up? Pearl asked. We stopped the bleeding, but the rain dragon lay perfectly still. Shouldn't she be doing something, like making rain? They both glanced up at the sky, and the sun was shining. No clouds had appeared. She's still breathing? Ben asked. They slid down her nose. Pearl stood in front of the nostril. Her hair didn't billow, nor did her basketball shorts ripple. I can barely feel her breath. She's still alive, but do you think we're too late? That was a very sad thought indeed. They had freed her paw, closed her wound, but the rain dragon had lost too much blood. What else could they do? Look! Pearl grabbed Ben's arm and pointed. What is that? Shielding his eyes with his hands, Ben squinted towards the horizon. Something was out there. Because the sun had dropped lower in the sky, Ben couldn't get a good look at the shape. But whatever it was certainly moving towards them. Was the poacher coming back? Crud, Ben mumbled. As quickly as they could, he and Pearl leaped onto the dragon's upper lip and then jumped to the ground. Metalmouth, Ben said. Someone's coming this way. Metalmouth spit out his tennis ball. Uh-oh, and he began to turn in a circle. Ooh, we gotta get out of here. Ooh, we gotta hide. Well, but we can't abandon the rain dragon, Pearl said. Ben's instinct was the same as Metalmouth's. Running and hiding would have been the very best way to avoid danger, but Pearl was right. If the hunter comes back for the other horn, the rain dragon will die for sure, Ben said. She can't lose any more blood. Metalmouth stopped and cocked his head. I don't want any dragon to die. They all turned and squinted into the sun. The shape moved closer and closer. You know what to do, Ben said. Yeah, big mean voice. Metalmouth reared up on his hind legs and he opened his mouth and the sunlight glinted off his jagged teeth. Go away, he bellowed, steam hissing from his nostrils. The shape moved towards them in a very brisk pace. Now Ben could see that it was walking on two legs and it was carrying something. Metalmouth stepped in front of Ben and Pearl and raised his wings. Do not come any closer or I will eat you. If you eat me, then who will help floss your teeth? The voice returned. Metalmouth smiled and flapped his tail on the ground. Both Pearl and Ben also smiled. For now, they could clearly see the person heading towards them. She wore a white lab coat and carried a black medical bag. Dr. Wu! They both cried. Chapter 18, Return of the Rain. Ben felt relieved at first. Dr. Wu would have fairy dust and she would be able to take them back to the known world. But when he saw the look on her face, he wanted to run in the opposite direction. The doctor's long black hair swayed as she marched towards them. Her lab coat was unbuttoned, billowing behind her like a sail. She stopped a few feet in front of them, set the black bag on the ground, and folded her arms and glared at her apprentices. What is the meaning of this? Uh-oh, Metalmouth said. He stepped behind Ben as if he could hide. Stories began to pop into Ben's brain, stories that might keep Pearl and him from getting into trouble. But on this occasion, when his life was at stake, the truth seemed the best. The goat lady called us to the 10th floor, he began to explain. And even though we knew that we were breaking a rule, Dr. Wu held up a hand to silence him. Ben had assumed that she had lost her finger dealing with some sort of dangerous creature. The scars that ran across her cheek and down her neck were of other indications that her job came with very great risks. Firstly, she is not a goat lady. She is a satirist, and her name is Violet. Sorry, Ben said. Violet, the satirist, told us to... Dr. Wu held up her hand again. Secondly, you have broken more rules in a single day than any other apprentice I have ever employed. She pointed at Metalmouth. And you should know better. Metalmouth's ears collapsed, and then he hid his head behind a wing. Do you have any idea how dangerous it is to travel through the portal without proper training? Do you know how terrible it feels to get a portal travel sickness? Or to fall out of the portal between dimensions? What would I have told your parents? Pearl took a cautious step forward. Dr. Wu, we only came here because no one else could. You were busy, and Mr. Tabby was busy, and Violet said the rain dragon was dying. We couldn't let her just die. That's right, Ben said, though he hadn't wanted to take this trip in the first place. Now that he had seen the rain dragon's injuries, he was glad that Pearl had talked him into coming. She needed our help. She still needs our help. Someone hurt her, Pearl said, on purpose. Metalmouth lowered his wing. A hunter. Dr. Wu sighed. Okay, tell me everything that has happened. Ben explained how they had found the metal trap and freed the paw. Pearl explained how they had climbed up and poured Wu's wound glue into the hole. She stopped bleeding, but it didn't seem to make her any better. She's barely breathing now. Dr. Wu removed a small device from her lab coat pocket. It was another creature calculator, identical to the one that Mr. Tabby carried. She punched a few buttons and read the screen. You did an excellent job with the wound glue. The rain dragon's physical health status has returned to normal. Well then, why isn't she moving? Pearl asked. I don't know for certain, but I do have a theory. You see, Chinese horned dragons are very gentle creatures that live in harmony with the universe. The rain dragon is the most gentle of all. She does not eat flesh, she eats clouds. She does not make war, she brings rain that keeps the valleys lush. She does not argue, insult, blame, envy, or lie. Does she steal treasure? Metalmouth asked. No, Dr. Wu responded. She does not steal. But if her health has returned to normal, why isn't she making it rain? Ben asked. Dr. Wu put the calculator away. Rain dragons are very proud of their horns. They are among the most beautiful in the imaginary world. She feels the loss of her horn very, very deeply. Well, won't it grow back? Ben asked. Antlers will grow back, Dr. Wu explained, but alas, horns do not. It occurred to Ben that the rain dragon's horn was one of many things that had been taken during the last couple of days. His grandfather's toaster had been stolen, but that was easy to buy a new one. Same for the forks and the garbage can and the mailboxes. But this horn, however, was very special. How could it possibly be replaced? Oh, poor thing, Pearl said. She feels so sad. How can we make her feel better? I know how to lance boils, how to stitch snouts, and how to mend broken tails, but I am not very good at fixing feelings, Dr. Wu said. Ben looked up at the rain dragon, his gaze resting on the remaining horn. It wasn't white like Metalmouth's horn. It was silvery and it glistened in the sunlight. And its surface was so smooth it could have been made of... Metalmouth, Ben said, as an idea flitted around in his head. Yeah? Do you remember that chain link that was attached to the trap? Uh-huh. Do you think you could melt it into something else? The way you melted all that stuff and made your nest? Sure. Oh, Ben, said Pearl, her eyes twinkling. She grabbed his arm. That's an amazing idea. While Pearl and Dr. Wu stayed with the rain dragon, Ben and Metalmouth ran back to the dragon's paw. Using his flame, Metalmouth separated one of the chain links from the others, and Ben wrapped the tip of Metalmouth's tail around the link, and Metalmouth dragged it back to the Rain Dragon's head. And as the others watched, Metalmouth melded, shaped, and soldered a beautiful silver horn. It was a work of art, just like his nest. Ben, Pearl, and Dr. Wu carried the horn up the Rain Dragon's face and set it carefully on top of the hole. The doctor used an adhesive specifically designed to reattach horns. It should hold for at least 1,000 years. The ground shuddered. "She's moving," Pearl said. And just as the Rain Dragon opened her eyes, Ben, Pearl, and Dr. Wu slid down her nose and jumped to the ground. The dragon raised her head. After batting her long eyelashes, she reached up with one of her paws and touched the new horn. The edges of her mouth turned upward in a smile. "Ah, she feels better," Dr. Wu said. Then, all at once, the dragon's body bloomed with color. It was as if somebody had used a giant eraser on her. All the brown disappeared. Her skin turned lime green, her mane buttery yellow, and her eyes tangerine orange. Her whiskers were ocean blue. She was a living rainbow. The dragon lifted her neck and gazed down upon them. "We must show our respect." Dr. Wu placed her palms together and bowed. Ben and Pearl and Metalmouth did likewise. The Rain Dragon bowed her head, and then she exhaled a long string of clouds. "Oh, I wish I could do that," said Metalmouth. The clouds floated above their heads, blocking the sun. The air immediately cooled. Ben took a long, refreshing breath. His sweat was gone. Even his sunburn disappeared. Metalmouth's scales glistened with dew. The Rain Dragon extended one of her paws and drew something in the hardened ground. It was a symbol that looked like this. Ben had seen that symbol before, but he didn't know what it meant. Then she took to the sky, her long snake-like body gliding in S-shapes and circles. The clouds sighed and let loose their rain. Drops the size of golf balls fell onto the parched ground. Ben wiped water from his eyes. Pearl tilted her head back and opened her mouth. "Ha! I am drinking imaginary water," she said, "and it tastes great." Ben drank some too. Metalmouth lapped up a puddle. The strange symbol disappeared as the ground turned to mud. Then newborn shoots began to sprout, and in a few minutes, what had been a dry wasteland was transformed into a lush carpet of greenery. Ben was soaked all the way through to his skin, but he didn't care. As rain rolled down his face, he thought only of the amazing sight above him. A wingless dragon looping and gliding across the sky. "Our work here is done," Dr. Wu announced, and she reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a vial of yellow fairy dust. "Wait," Pearl said. "Shouldn't we find out who took the Rain Dragon's horn? My Aunt Millie knows how to check for fingerprints, and maybe we could borrow her equipment from her." "There is no need. I already know who took the horn." She sprinkled some dust in the newly sprung grass. "Step back." The tornado appeared as if it had been on the 10th floor, swirling and thundering. Ben wasn't afraid this time. He didn't need to be pushed or convinced. He stepped right in.